Let us pray. Creator God, on this day of celebration, we give thanks for those who have inspired us and enriched our learning, for opportunities offered and for friendships made. We give thanks for families who have supported us and encouraged us to achieve our goals. Bless all our graduates as they journey forth from here to their different places and countries of work. Guide those who will use their creative gifts and artistic talents to interpret the form and beauty of the world around them. Those who will use their gifts of compassion to nurse the sick and care for the dying. And their newfound wisdom to bring health and healing to those in need, building up the health care of all humanity. We seek blessing for all our graduates, that they may work together for the building up of life in happiness and in hope. Amen.
Please be seated. Thank you, Chaplain. She's the best chaplain of any university. She also controls the weather. So if it rains at the garden party, I'll tell you where she hides. But it won't rain. And I also thank the sign interpreter, Rudy. I hope you'll be able to understand the signs. It is for the benefit of Rudy. Can I invite the principal to start with to address the assembly?
Chancellor, Deputy Lord Provost, graduands, honorary graduands, ladies and gentlemen, let me add my very warm welcome to that of the Chancellor to all of you here at the second graduation ceremony of this summer. And especially to those who are visiting Dundee for the first time, let me extend a warm welcome on behalf of the city as well as the University of Dundee. And the University of Dundee, as many of you will know, is Scotland's University of the Year. And this is an occasion when we should take pride in our university. So I will take the opportunity here to expand on that and other accolades which have come our way this year. Not least because you have all been part of bringing us to where we are now, as students and, very shortly, as graduates. It is also a reflection of the efforts of staff, many of whom are gathered here on the stage to join you in your celebrations. Our ambition is to become Scotland's leading university in all that we choose to do over the next 2 decades. And this year has shown that in many aspects, that's a claim we can already make. We have not only been named Scottish University of the Year, but we are also #1 in Scotland for student experience, the top-ranked young university in the UK in the global rankings of universities under 50 years old. We're top in Scotland and 5th in the UK among Europe's most innovative universities. And we're firmly established as one of the world's top 200 universities. And these are all fantastic recognition for us, not just for the university itself, but also for you as our graduates. Because our hope is that as graduates of Dundee, you'll become our ambassadors to the world, both for the university and the city. In turn, we ensure now and into the future that the name of the university on your CV is seen as a mark of quality and esteem. We've also gathered these accolades while operating in a difficult period for higher education, where core funding from government has been under severe pressure, and we've had to make some very difficult decisions. So that we have come through this and enjoyed such a spectacular year of successes is due in large part to the fact that we've held on to our values throughout this time, and we've always prioritized the interests of students in everything we do. And this is quite simply because students are the lifeblood of the university. You come here from all over the world, from 147 different countries at the last count, which remarkably is 3/4 of all the nations of the world. And whether you arrive from Shanghai, from Southampton, or from Scotland itself, we will always be committed to welcoming you to Dundee and supporting you in your time here. And whilst we're bringing more students from around the world to Dundee than ever before, I'm especially proud that we're also leading the way in Scotland in widening access to higher education, giving students a chance who would otherwise not have had the opportunity to study at a world-class university. My commitment to widening participation is also intensely personal. By modern standards, my own background would have been regarded as an example of widening access. I was the first of my family to be offered a place at university, a place I didn't take because, frankly, it seemed to me to be an alien environment to a young person from a working-class, single-parent background. So my route to personal transformation weaved its way through industry, college, day-release study, before finally finding the courage to embark on a PhD at Birmingham University. So now we have to ensure that young people today have a route to higher education and the benefits it can bring, whatever their background. And the latest figures show that this university leads Scotland in delivering better access to higher education. The number of students from the most deprived areas of the country taking up places at Dundee has more than doubled in the last 5 years, significantly outperforming any other university in Scotland. Being amongst the UK's most innovative universities, with values which compel us to transform lives and to promote social justice, is reflected in the honours bestowed upon our staff during the last 12 months. And that gives us a good illustration of what I mean by the words that I've just spoken. And we see that with the work of Professor Sue Black, who was made a Dame in the birthday honours earlier this month, and with her colleagues in forensic sciences, including Vivian Maguire, who also received an MBE in the New Year honours. In our Centre for Anatomy and Human Identification and the new Leverhulme Research Centre for Forensic Science, they have made Dundee a world leader, pioneering new techniques which are proving effective in helping convict some of society's worst child abuse offenders, helping solve historical cases, and revolutionising the teaching of new generations of forensic specialists and anatomists. We also see it in the work of Professor Annalou Waller, who received an OBE earlier this year, and her colleagues in computing, who have helped establish Dundee as one of the world's leading centres for research into augmentative and alternative communication technologies for people with severe communication difficulties, literally giving people a voice. And we see it in the work of Professor Jill Belch, awarded an OBE for her services to medicine. She has been central in helping us translate the new knowledge generated through research into effective patient care that delivers real benefits to people across society. It's also apparent in work across all of the schools that make up the university. And we see it in the subject areas of those graduating this afternoon. For example, in nursing and health sciences, the university is having a global impact, particularly in emphasizing the values of midwifery and breastfeeding, contentious issues around the world, but ones where our work is helping to change attitudes and bring widespread benefits. And in art and design, we are at the heart of Dundee's emergence as a creative hub. The idea to bring the V&A to Dundee originated with the university. We're central to the UNESCO City of Design status Dundee now enjoys, and our students, staff, and alumni are among the people driving forward the creative industries. As I said before, we have a goal to become Scotland's leading university in all that we choose to do. As the examples I've just mentioned show, we are already leading not just in the UK, but internationally in much of the work we already do. Our reputation as a centre of excellence can only help you in your future lives. and I hope you will continue to watch and stay connected with us as the university goes from strength to strength. 2017 will see us celebrating our 50th anniversary, when I hope to welcome many of you and some of our 80,000 alumni back to the city and the university campus. In those 50 years, we've achieved a great deal. I'm excited by the prospects of where we can go in the next 25 years. And all my colleagues here today are also filled with anticipation of what each of you may achieve in the next phase of your lives. I wish you all well for the future and hope you will continue to take pride in the success of your university. On behalf of all of the staff, good luck as you embark on your own journeys of transformation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Principal, for that address. Now, before we start the ceremony of conferment of degrees, we have an important oath-taking ceremony to be undertaken. And can I invite Dr. Joe Corlett to do this?
Chancellor, before the nursing graduands are presented, I will ask them to assent to a declaration that they will maintain traditional standards of professional conduct. Will the nursing graduands please stand? I solemnly promise to use to the best of my knowledge and ability the art and science of my profession for the good of those under my care, and to make the preservation and restoration of their health my constant aim. I shall keep secret anything I see or hear in my practice that should not be divulged. I shall constantly endeavour to improve my knowledge and skills within my profession and to share useful discoveries with my fellow practitioners, whom I promise to hold in fraternal regard. These things I shall do for the benefit of those whom I seek to serve and for the honour of the profession that I now join. Do you make this promise?
It's now my pleasure to call upon Professor Margaret Smith, Dean of School of Nursing and Health Sciences, to present the graduates.
Chancellor, I have the honour to present for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Nursing, Alison Angus. Lorraine Bell. Susan Carter. Christine Dempster. Airlie Dewar. Kirsty Gunn. Anne Halliday. Stephen Houston Watson. Lacey Irvin. Robert Lindsay. Lorraine McQueen. Kerry Muir, Maria Mavengi, Zoe Pickup, Caroline Smith, Sheena Sutherland, Lynester Williams, Emma Fay, Lisa Gray, Rachel Hardy, Alexis Jeffrey, Thomas Reed. For the Bachelor of Science, Diane Williamson. For the Diploma in Health Studies, Jane Bulstrode. For the Postgraduate Certificate in Nursing, Charlie Foreman. Postgraduate Certificate in Quality Improvement, Alison Moss. And for the Master of Science, Maureen Curley. Elaine Fugard. Leslie Shepherd. Maria Kochi. Natalie McClelland. Lindsay Griffin. Louise Harris. Christine Hastings. Tracy Passway. Jacqueline Robertson. And Erling Coulson.
Thank you, Professor Smith. Now, you may think that we have a small nursing school, but that's not true. Come in November, and the whole hall is packed with them. I think we graduate more nurses than anybody else anywhere in the world. But thank you for today, and congratulations to the nurses. Can I now invite Professor Jeanette Paul from the School of Art and Design to introduce the graduate. Jeanette.
Chancellor, I have the honour to present for the degree of Bachelor of Arts with Honours, Craig Black. Hazel Holloway. Eve Kerr. Helen King. Gentian Mikulam. Ailey Mitchell. Lisa Olson. Christian Thomason. Paul Vermeulen. Angela Alexander Lloyd. Charlotte Alford. Alexander Allen. Sam Anderson. Morgan Atkinson. Melissa Battici. Cameron Brady. Laura Brown. Kyle Buchan. Janet Cameron. Louise Cartwright. Lily Cassiotti. Jaquetta Clark. Claire Connor. Laura Dendy. Gavin Donaldson. Esther Farrell. Sean Forsyth. Alistair Fraser. Daryl Gowans. Stephanie Graham. Christina Inkster. Rowena Ketting. Rory Lever-Hogg. Louise Mackenzie. Callum Mackey. Panajota Magaliu Sulain. Lucy Metcalf. Robin Michi. Becky Middleton. Kieran Milne. Diana Mooney. Katrina Newton. Alison Orr. Daphne Percy Charafa. Lena Phelan. Rachel Presswood. Anna Reid. Tamara Richardson. Rowan Rosie. Catherine Ship. Leda Solomonidou. Thomas Stevenson. Emily Stewart. Jasmine Somerton. Sophie Suominen. Fergus Tibbs. Jamie Watt. Joshua Wilson. Alison Wright. Emma Young. Caitlin Dells. Alison Ford. Nadine Kelly. Louise McCusker. Rachel McDermott. James McMaster. Adam Morrow. Mark Small. Katie Stott. Lucy Young. Zara Anderson. Nina Cagle. Katrina Hayworth. Julie Linton. Vanessa Louise Miller. Brent Morrison. Chancellor, it is with honour that I present for the award of Bachelor of Arts with Honours, awarded posthumously, Conor Craig.
Elsa was Conor's sister, little sister. And thank you, Elsa, for coming to the stage. to collect Connor's certificate and his hood. Connor, you should know, and your mother and father are here, Mother Trudy and Father Andy. You should all know that Connor was a remarkable student, much loved in this university. As you know, he was preparing to submit for his graduation exhibition just when he died. He is a remarkable lateral thinker who was working on art and art design and art market. And his philosophy dissertation was interesting because he was studying the role of Saatchi in market and values. He read poetry and philosophy avidly. I think he loved cartoons, Japanese cartoons. I don't know how he interpreted them, but he loved it. And comics. He was, how shall I say, a remarkable dresser, you would agree, and loved some interesting foods. He was altogether a much loved person in this university, and we are very grateful to you and to your mother, Trudy, and your father, Andy, to coming today. I know you're trying to go to university soon. I'll make sure you have a place here. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Chancellor. And for the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Edward Parks. And for the degree of Bachelor of Design with Honours, Adam Balson. Yvonne Chu. Shannon Cook. Sarah Holliday. Rebecca Horner. Niamh Ireland. Aisling Larkin. Daniel Macy. Laura McMahon. Jennifer McNabb. Stephen McAdam. Lauren McLaughlin. Cameron Mitchell. Jamie Mowat. Natalia Mejak. Magdalena Radok. Lorna Robertson. Helen Robinson. Andrew Scott. Victoria Stephen. Eva Strautkal. Constance White. Freya Big. Kevin Biggins. Thessalonica Buchanan. Rowan Campbell. Maha Ghani. Eva Gomez. Ross Grubb. Aliza Jamil Ahmed. Antonia Katruza. Morven Littlejohn. Caitlin MacLeod. Alice McConnell. Roma McCook. Kenneth Meek. Hazel Missapasi. Jill Montgomery. Gavin Reed. Jody Robb. Andrew Simpson. Gemma Smith. Katie Stewart. Nelly Todorova. Katie Wilkinson. Stylianos Ypsilantis. Ronan Baxter. Caitlin Barbier. Jacqueline Briggs. Amy Brownlee. Sarah Burt. Alice Carnegie. Annabelle Carr. Rory Carson. Eleanor Cliflins. Amy Dunn. Sarah Gillespie. Robin Glendinning. Gabrielle Gudatite. Rachel Hanna. Katrina Laird. Laura Monaghan. Alexandra Musaruli. Poppy Power. Mark Smith. Victoria Stewart. Paul Wilson. Magdalena Bell. Angela Brown. Natasha Cahill. Jonathan Christie. Emma Cook. Adam Cooney. Mia Fardy. Claire Flanagan. Flora Hogg. Hazel Irvin. Helen Carwett. Irene Latta. Rory McCaughlin. Sophie Marcy. Marsali Miller. David Shannon. Jane Smith. Rebecca Stephen. Helen Talbot. Ashley Wallace. Sadil Wakar. Louise Campbell. Julie Kelly. Kathleen Lee. Nikki Manning. Sian Rochent. Romany Stars. Laura Sykes. Fiona Beattie. April Black. Haley Brooks. Katie Brown. Georgina Burgess. Rachel Glenn. Beth Henderson. Chloe Lewis. Ailey McKnight. Lucy McManus. Hannah Muir. Santa Sidlowska. Christina Vernon. Kenzie Wallace. Jenna Watson. Zoe Wilson. Megan Douglas. Leonie Folds. Rachel Flynn. Femi Gillespie. Rihanna Goldie. Jolene Guthrie. Katia Hay. Megan Hughes. Christy Hutton. Rachel Key. Georgie Lang. Rachel Lees. Beth Lindsay. Rebecca Lynn. Shona McMahon. Abby Neve. Claire Nisbet. Holly Patterson. Laura Pearson. Stephanie Reed. Andrew Scott. Fern Slater Walters. Taylor Stilley. Morag Taylor. Rhea Thompson. Stefan Volder. Beth Wales. And for the degree of Bachelor of Design, Benjamin Blakey. And for the degree of Bachelor of Science with Honours, Molly Barnes. Jessica Borwell. Sophia Bradley. Richard Cahill. Peter Chutney. Patrick Drabble. Rachel Farquharson. Ryan Hutchin. Kieran Hind. Hannah Lucas. Nicola Petrie. Alan Reeve. Daniel Ronan. Kirsty Snedden. Dean Taylor. Rhiannon Walker. Rebecca Wallace. Hazel Wiley. Dominic Bell. Iona Broadhurst. Ross Cassells. Leanne Fischler. Duncan Gordon. Amy Lowe. Alice Malcolm. Conal McCullough. Megan McKee. Terry McLean. Alistair Munns. Rebecca Smith. Andrew Stewart. Joanna Stronska. Rachel Walker. Claire Wright. And for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, Joanna Fletcher.
Now, I'm sure you wonder whether, when they come across to me, whether they say anything, the graduates, what kind of remarks to make. But they do say something to me, and I'm not going to tell you what they say. All of it is good. But today, for the first time, I got handed a business card. You can't say Dundee students are not brought up to be entrepreneurs. So he obviously hopes, do I name you Adam? Interactive filmmaker. It's the interactive bit that got me. Hope you're a success. Principal.
I blame it on enterprise entrepreneurism and employability. The Vice Principal for Learning and Teaching is over there. He's probably responsible for that. It's a great success, I think. Chancellor, I have the honour to invite you to confer their degrees in absence upon the candidates who have been unable to attend this ceremony.
By the authority of the Senate, I confer these degrees. Now I warn you, the principal is going to ask you to do something. Don't do it, it's bad for your health.
Well, I usually do what the Chancellor tells me. We like to ensure in these ceremonies that there is a combination of the solemnity of an academic occasion, but also that we can express some joy in celebration. And now is the time to do that collectively. I've got great hopes because at this ceremony, because usually the nurses and DJ CAD are the noisiest students of all. Now, the nurses have got their work cut out because it's a very small number of them on this occasion, unlike the November ceremony. So you've got to work extra hard to make your voices heard. But what we want you to do, what I want you to do, but apparently the Chancellor does not, I think he sneakily does really, is I want you to make as much noise as you possibly can. You did that very well during the ceremony itself, but let's do it all together. Polite applause, as you already realize, is not what's required. Cheering and stamping of feet and any way legally and without damaging the Caird Hall for the next ceremony will be acceptable. So let me start by giving you my personal congratulations to all of you. Thank you very much.
You quite finished? I was, of course, kidding, because I knew there'll be the noisiest lot. I was also interested to see how the lady doing the sign was going to interpret that noise. And I noticed she remained calm. Can I now ask the Dean of the School of Art and Design, Professor Paul Harris?
Chancellor, I have the honour to present for the Chancellor's Award for Outstanding Contribution to Teaching, Professor Callum Colvin.
Callum, as Chancellor, it is my great privilege and honor to give you the Chancellor's Award for outstanding contribution to this university's teaching and learning. We really are proud of what you have done for this university. I know you're an internationally talented artist and all other kinds of things. He's exhibited in New York Museum of Modern Art, Tate Gallery, the National Portrait Gallery, and recently a portrait of yours was exhibited in the Scottish Portrait Gallery. So despite all that personal reputation, talent, you spend an enormous amount of time. And one thing in particular I found out was that it is to make our students the best in the world. And through you, I know through you, they have achieved and won many national and international competitions. So thank you, and I'm delighted to give you this award. Thank you, Carlos. It's now my pleasure to invite Professor Graham Hutton to present the first honorary graduate.
Chancellor, I have the honour to present for the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa, Dr. Charles Jenks. In a career spanning over 50 years, Dr. Jenks is recognised as one of the world's most innovative and cross-disciplinary thinkers, who, crucially, is also a maker and groundbreaking philanthropist. A composer of ideas and form, Charles's work cuts across fine art, literature, landscape art, architecture, and philosophy in the widest sense. The interplays of these disciplines to the benefit of humanity's well-being is central to Charles's ethos. His own personal statement reads, "To see the world in a grain of sand, the poetic insight of William Blake, is to find relationships between the big and small, science and spirituality, the universe and the landscape. This cosmic setting provides the narrative for my content-driven work, the writing and the design. I explore metaphors that underline both growing nature and the laws of nature, parallels that root us personally in the cosmos as firmly as a plant, even while our mind escapes this home." Born in Baltimore and raised in New England, Charles enjoyed the cultured environment surrounding his father, the pianist and composer Gardner Jenks. In the late 1950s, he attended Harvard, first reading English literature as an undergraduate and then architectural history at the renowned Harvard Graduate School of Design. A PhD in architectural history from University College London followed in 1970 after Charles had taken up permanent residency here in the UK. A stream of highly influential texts followed, the most significant and enduring of which centred on observing a paradigm shift in architecture, away from the received modernist tropes towards a more eclectic postmodern vocabulary of design. Often cited as the father of postmodernism, Charles's capacity to critically interrogate, classify, and indeed foresee future directions in a more complex and meaningful architecture is one lasting legacy. His 1977 book, The Language of Postmodern Architecture, and his own Cosmic House in London give early indications of a unique mind at work. In the late 1980s, Charles began the ambitious landform project, the Garden of Cosmic Speculation, at his home in Portrack House near Dumfries. It is here, and at Jupiter Artland near Edinburgh, that we see multidisciplinary thinking given formal expression on a grand scale. Linking the then emerging sciences surrounding cosmology with man's place on the ground, the work is of such a scale as to oscillate between the suggestions of prehistory and some imagined future. These are gardens good enough to eat, and indeed, some of them you can. The garden at Portrack was co-designed with friends, scientists, and, most significantly, Maggie Keswick Jenks, Charles's late wife, to whom the garden is dedicated. It is with Maggie that Charles also co-founded Maggie's Cancer Care Centres. Conceived as an alternative environment to the context of the machine for health, Maggie's centres are empowering, intimate, and pioneering. Charles's ethos of the relationship of parts to the whole, a leaf to a landscape, or a landscape to the cosmos, is vitally present here. If we think of the caring environment of Maggie's scale to a hospital, to society even, these buildings are little utopias. Alistair Munro, Professor of Radio-Oncology at Ninewells here in Dundee, is quoted, "Maggie's centres offer a solution to our mutual dilemma, information and support that is unconditional and non-institutional, and, therefore, all the more powerful and effective." The Department of Health has highlighted Maggie's Centre's unique approach to cancer care as an example of best practice. Since 2000, the Centre's work have also been commended by the NHS Cancer Plan, the former National Institute of Clinical Excellence, and the Cancer Reform Strategy, not to mention the 25,000 people who use the service annually. When the distinguished architect and honorary Dundee graduate, Norman Foster, was asked of his recently completed Maggie's in Manchester, "How do you hope the centre will be received?" "My hope," he replied, "is that it will be received sympathetically as a centre for hope, a fitting tribute to Maggie Keswick Jenks, whom I remember with affection, and to Charles Jenks for his kindness and wisdom in creating the charity of Maggie's." So finally, as a lesson to our new graduates, Dr. Jenks Award should demonstrate that innovation and the capacity to transform lives comes often by thinking outside the confines of narrow disciplinary boundaries. Chancellor, I have the honour to invite you to confer upon Dr. Charles Jenks the degree of Doctor of Laws.
By the authority of the Senate, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws. Congratulations. Thank you. No, no. Thank you. You may.
Takes a long time to graduate from this university. I'm 77. Anyway, thank you, Graham, for those remarks. And I've been trapped with this helmet. Chancellor, Principal, members of the university, fellow graduates, ladies and gentlemen, I'm extremely pleased to get this award. It's one of the few awards that really is kind of gold standard in an age of inflation. And it's really delightful to achieve it at Dundee in Scotland, where I feel at home. When I came to Britain in 1965, I held down 3 part-time jobs. And I'm going to be talking to you graduates today about change in employment that's happening around us. The coming of the golden age. Could be golden, could be bronze or worse. But when I came, I taught at the Architectural Association. I wrote my thesis. I worked on books. I wrote too many books. I worked as an editor. So I had 3 different jobs. And one of the great things about having different jobs then was it was much easier than today, when it's much more competitive in the digital world. But it's important to remember that you keep your freedom and control of your life, partly through doing many different things, so you can't be suborned or pushed down by any one of your betters. And your parents, or at least my parents, helped me a lot in that. Your generation faces great risks, which, however, bring extraordinary opportunities. That is the long-term trend towards self-employment, which has risen in the last 10 years from 4% of the workforce to 15% since the Depression of 2007, and is likely to go up to 30% in the next 20 years. That's in the United States, it's even going up faster. And it's likely, therefore, like me, you'll have changed jobs or have 3 or 4 jobs at once. I have done this with great pleasure and enjoyment until the 1990s, after the postmodern movement started very strongly in architecture and other fields. And then I shifted to landscape and sculpture and painting, which I have continued for the last 30 years, designing landforms in many countries, including South Korea and Italy. And I've co-founded with my late wife, whose idea fundamentally was to set up these cancer caring centers, which I named after her because they're really centers of self-help, cancer patients to each other. The one here in Dundee, designed by our great friend, Frank Gehry, a couple of miles from here, is based on such self-help. And all the secondary therapies you need if you have cancer. Of course, the ones that you know so much about today. Exercise, eating well, changes in your lifestyle. These many things we do really make a difference. And for me, these different careers have really been rewarding. And I still keep my previous 3 careers. Of course, this is in the great Western tradition, and actually Eastern tradition too, of the humanities, which is so nice to get a degree in this afternoon. The Greeks, the Roman ideal, the Renaissance ideals, the multitasking women today, the Marxist utopia of having 3 jobs every day. Isaiah Berlin, the great philosopher, talked about this a lot. So it brings great personal rewards and riches. On the other hand, the pay is on average lower than a full-time employment, and there's less job security. But after 2007, those who went into self-employment began to see that it was more positive for them, at least for half of them. And they said they enjoyed it much more because they got that freedom and control, which I've spoken about. And the computer, of course, empowers this so much today, especially part-time work and part-time specialization. So the message here, for those of you who enjoy risk in multitasking, is to aim, indeed, at the well-rounded development. You'll have to work harder, but the freedoms of part-time multitasking certainly pay you back. I end not with a Renaissance man, Leonardo da Vinci, but a description of Thomas Jefferson, the 3rd US president, who was a writer, architect, and inventor among his many part-time professions. I'll quote from the recent New York Review of Books. The range of his intellectual and cultural concerns was staggering to his contemporaries and is still breathtaking for us. Surely no political figure in American history, and certainly no president, has had such expansive and varied interest as Jefferson. Books, coupling his name with almost every subject under the sun, have poured from the presses. Jefferson and law, Jefferson and constitutionalism, Jefferson and civil liberties, Jefferson and philosophy, Jefferson and the art of power, Jefferson and religion, Jefferson and education, Jefferson and classical world, and nature, and the West, and tourism, and secrets, and optimism, and progress, and happiness, and science, and mathematics, and architecture, and music, and farming. I'm running out of breath. And copying machines. He did copying machines then, 2 pens. And debt, and women, and wine, and cooking, and yes, linguistics, and paleontology, and gardens, and slavery, and Indians, and even the Koran. Of course, not all of this was good or moral, and Jefferson was quite wealthy. But it shows what a man or woman is capable of in 1800, and more so today. I wish you good luck and take risks. Thank you.
Now, thank you for coming, and thank you for your address. And of course, we're also delighted to see your wife, Louise Lane Fox, here. Of course, I've known her well from her daughter's days. I know that you are going to have and I'm giving you a plug now for advertising for you, because you have a new gardens, landscape gardens, Croic Multiverse, Discover Scotland's stunning new Artland attraction. And I noticed that the picture has a lot of rocks, and I have it from a very reliable source. And that emailed me yesterday. And when I asked, what is Charles' love? And I think you will guess who it was, said, rocks. He loves rocks. So it is not usual for a chancellor to give any gifts, but this is the first time that we've done this. And this is a very special piece of rock. This piece of rock comes from a ground where our new V&A building will be. So all the stones that are there will be covered by, except this one, by the V&A building. And I know you are a great fan of the architect who's designing our new building. So here's a special rock for you. It's the cheapest present I've ever given. But most sincere, of course. It's now my pleasure to invite Mr. Mike Ramsey to introduce our next honorary graduate, the most colorful lady. Must we say Koppel? It's Koppel.
Chancellor, I have the honour to present for the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa, Mrs. Amanda Koppel. Amanda Koppel's recent story and that of her dear late husband Frank may already be well known to many here. This is a narrative of selflessness and hope in the face of personal tragedy and loss, in championing fairness for younger people with dementia and in highlighting risks to sportsmen and women from head injury that may lead to neurological damage. Allow me, though, to briefly dwell on some of the less well-known backstory drawing towards why Amanda is presented before us today. To do that, we need to take a geographical tour. The story starts in Italy's Belmonte region and then Puszczyna, Poland, distant places that Amanda and Frank's families respectively left to start new lives in Scotland in the 1920s and 40s. Frank and Amanda grew up near each other in Falkirk and became friends aged 10. From then they were pretty much inseparable, despite him taking her on a first date to a football match in Alloa. Frank then left home to become an apprentice professional footballer at Manchester United, but they would later marry and have a son, Scott, and she became what we may now refer to as a wag, which she tells me was nothing like the glamorous life it is portrayed as today. Yet she has some great stories to tell, like the time Frank collected her from the station in Manchester in a very flash car indeed, one loaned to him by George Best, no less. Frank then became synonymous with Dundee United in the 70s and 80s, and throughout Amanda was by his side. Amanda and Frank then became publicans in Kirriemuir. Their mutual devotion was never more evident, though, when Frank was diagnosed with dementia, aged just 59. It was then, as his wife and carer, that Amanda learned of the inequality whereby over 65s in Scotland receive free personal care, but under 65s do not. Frank urged Amanda to tell their story, which she began to do, and in the process, her tenacity and energy have become a loud yet always kind voice calling for fairness and equality in provision. Sadly, Frank died without seeing full fruition from Amanda's campaigning. An organic movement has grown that includes family, friends like past University of Dundee rector Lorraine Kelly, former clubs and teammates, and the wider Scottish football family in pursuit of what's become known as Frank's Law. The call is for politically led change and provision, but Amanda has sought that it not become party political. She's lobbied Parliament to give an evidence and engaged with politicians of all major parties to raise awareness and seek change. Although Frank's Law would no longer benefit Amanda, her efforts continue, a story of hope, tenacity and perseverance in pursuit of eventual success, and Amanda will not give up until the law is changed. She's doing this for her Frankie and for all under 65 in Scotland whose lives are damaged by similar ill health and unequal provision. Amanda has done more than be Frank's lifelong companion and a champion for fairness, equality and change. In 2014, Frank's brain scans were sent to Dr. William Stewart in Glasgow, where it emerged that he likely suffered from chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE. Amanda learned of CTE from the story of former England footballer Jeff Astle, who died of this in 2002. This type of dementia was previously associated with boxing and therefore known as dementia pugilistica. Amanda has since been promoting related scientific work, raising public awareness of the dangers of recurrent sporting head trauma, especially in younger people. Last month, as we welcomed Dr. Stewart to present in our own school, Amanda attended to introduce him, a real example of town and gown, where community life meets academic endeavour. Chancellor, I have the honour to invite you to confer upon Mrs. Amanda Coppell the degree of Doctor of Laws.
By the authority of the Senate, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws. Congratulations and welcome to the university. No, congratulations. Can I invite you to say a few words, Amanda?
Thank you.
Yes, you can.
Chancellor, Principal, ladies and gentlemen, fellow graduates, we do not remember days, we remember moments. And I can remember the moment a few months ago when I picked up my phone and a voice said, "Dean would like to speak to you." A bit puzzled, I thought, Dean? The only Dean I could think of at the time was the singer Dean Martin, and I knew it couldn't have been him. However, the next voice I heard was a female voice, advising me that I had been chosen to receive an honorary doctorate degree from Dundee University. And at first I thought the Dean might have meant to call someone else, and she had dialed the wrong number. I'm delighted to see the Dean who made that call that day is sitting right here on the stage. I also know that she is holding 2 coloured pieces of card, one yellow and one red, and these may or not be shown in the next few minutes. For those who are familiar with the rules of a football game, if a player is booked during the match through any misdemeanours, the player is shown the yellow card. However, if the player is shown the red card, which is a second booking, the player is sent off for an early bath. In my case, I will not be booked because I am on a football pitch. It will be because I am talking too much. I have a few minutes to deliver my speech, and during it, I am going to try and avoid making eye contact with the Dean for obvious reasons. I'm looking out at my fellow graduates just now, and you all look so young, and that's because you are. Compared to me, that is, because I celebrated my 66th birthday last week. And in life, with thank you. That's with the makeup on. In life, with determination, hard work, dedication, and commitment, age should never be a barrier to any of you, to fulfill your dreams or to stop you from reaching your goals. Because if you really believe in what you are trying to achieve, nothing is impossible. And as you hold those precious degrees proudly in your hands, I'm sure you will agree that all those seemingly never-ending long hours of study and hard work over the last few years have now been worthwhile. I applaud each one of my fellow graduates. I congratulate you, and I wish you good luck for the future in your chosen careers. Never stop learning, because life never stops teaching. And just like you, my family and friends are here with me on this very special day. However, one person is missing, but I know that he is standing here right beside me on this stage in spirit, and he is holding my hand, and he is smiling because the Dean hasn't produced the red card yet. That special person is my late husband and soulmate Frankie, who fought his battle with dementia with great strength, courage, and dignity. And it was because of his courageous battle and the lessons I learned from him over those years that have encouraged me to continue my battle for others. And I know he does have a huge smile on his face, the width of the River Tay, and he knows how humbled and honoured I am to accept this honorary doctorate degree from Dundee University. And I want to thank everyone who has made this day possible. And I can now say with enormous pride, I'm Amanda Coppell, Doctor of Franks Law. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Amanda. And thank you for Frankie's Law.
Thank you.
I think you and I have a mutual friend, don't we?
We do. We do, Chancellor.
Does he call you, what does he call you?
He calls me Mrs. Coppell. And,
What do you think he said when I asked him as to what I should say about you?
well, he did say to me that he had phoned you up and warned you about me. That's what he said. And I did say to him at one point, he said, Mrs. Coppell, I have phoned Lord Patel to warn him about you, and he went like that. And,
No, he said the
yes.
nicest things about you,
Well,
apart from saying you talk too much, he said.
yes, he did. He did. Chancellor, thank you.
But you don't. Thank you for coming today.
No,
And
thank you. It's been
we're
a
very
great
proud
honor for me.
to have you as an honorary graduate.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, as you heard the principal say, we are Scotland's best university. But we have more than that. We have the best university choir anywhere. And you're going to hear that in a minute from them.
Sunday morning, up with the lark, I think I'll take a walk in the park. Hey, 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 it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. I've got someone waiting for me, and when I see her, I know what she'll say. Hey, 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 it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. Hi, 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 beautiful sun, beautiful sun. This is my beautiful day, beautiful day. When you said that you loved me. My, it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. Birds are singing, you by my side. Let's take a car and go for a ride. Hey, 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 it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. We'll drive on and follow the sun, making Sunday go on and on. Hey, 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 it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. Hi, 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 beautiful sun, beautiful sun. This is my beautiful day, beautiful day. When you said that you loved me. My, it's a beautiful, it's a beautiful day.
Wasn't that terrific? Thank you, choir and choir master. I don't know if you were watching when the choir was singing, the lady who's doing our signage. I think it was fantastic, and I think she needs an applause. I thought I felt quite animated watching you do that. Please be upstanding while I declare this academic ceremony closed.